Hi, I'm Jerry Kroth. I'm a professor in California, and I've done a lot of YouTube videos on all sorts of academic topics, Kennedy assassination, telepathy, psychic dreams, global warming. But I'm also a musician, and I play trumpet, and I play flugelhorn, and I have a big band called Synchronicity, believe it or not. And we play around. We play at the San Jose Jazz Festival. We're getting better. And this is a story about a discovery I made about jazz and music. So it's not my typical kind of lecture, all right? It's kind of short, but I think you find it enjoyable. Maybe. Uh, let's start with a little jazz history. So we go back to the 40s and the 30s, Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller. I'm not talking about that swing music. I'm talking about uh, basically modern, what was called modern jazz. It begins with Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie in the early 40s. Miles Davis comes along in the 50s, and his book, it's called The Birth of the Cool. And Miles Davis, his album, Kind of Blue, believe it or not, is considered the best-selling album in the in American history, and it doesn't even have a lead song, a best-selling song. Kind of Blue. Anyway, Dave Brubeck is playing in San Francisco State, playing piano. He majored in agriculture, and he was from the Sacramento area. His father was a farmer. So he was majoring in agriculture, but he loved piano, and he was sitting in a zoology class and listening to a sax player in the other room named Paul Desmond, and he was distracted, and his professor said, "Mr. Brubeck, why don't you go over to the music department?" So he met Paul Desmond. They started a band, a classical quartet, and they played from the 50s until David Brubeck almost died. I mean, he was 90 some years old and played right up until the end of his life and loved playing. I said, "Why don't you retire?" He said, "Why should I retire? I'm doing exactly what I'm playing every day." So, another piece of jazz history is Jerry Mulligan on baritone sax. He was well known. If you're not a jazz fanatic, you probably don't know him, but he was a big star. There was a magazine called Downbeat. I think it still exists. It's the jazz magazine throughout history. And they interviewed Jerry Mulligan, who was quite famous in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And they said, who are the three most important contributors to jazz? And he said, by the way, that's the Jerry Mulligan Quartet, a bass, a drum, a baritone sax, and a trumpet. Mulligan said, I think I credit Dave Brubeck for bringing classical music into jazz. He would be number one. I forget what he said was number two. But he said, I think I'm number three. And they said, why would you be the third greatest influence in jazz? And he said, because I got rid of the piano. And he did. He didn't have a piano. And that means that he made explicit what was implicit. A piano provides the background for jazz. If you take the piano away, you take away the infrastructure, and then everything is in the heads of the soloists. Okay? So there was a physicist who wrote a book, David Bohm, on quantum mechanics, talking about the implicate order, the hidden structure inside of what is on the surface, the metastructure in a way. There's actually a trumpet player, a jazz trumpet player, who had an album called The Implicate Order, meaning that jazz has something to do with the hidden side, the internal structures, the guts of a song. I got rid of the piano means I made the implicate order explicit. There's a plane flying overhead. I hope you don't hear it. Now I'm going to demonstrate something on a piano. Okay, so this is a excerpt from a video I made, very short. Okay, I want to demonstrate this and let you listen to this craziness. Sounds like a child playing, but if you put it together, you realize there's a jazz chord underneath that craziness, like this. But underneath that is that, a deeper structure underneath that apparently external craziness. Like a cat walking across the piano keyboard. But that's what's underneath it. So, by removing the piano, Jerry Mulligan forces us to become more conscious of the implicate order, the underlying structure that holds everything together. Okay, now that's the introduction to what we're going to do. Miles Davis said, it's not how many notes you play, it's how many you don't play. Okay. So we're going to, our first example, I got 3 examples of this concept. We're going to talk about Oliver Nelson. Now, in my band, it's a jazz band, and I think there are only a lot of young guys are there, and ladies. I think only a few of them know who Oliver Nelson was. Oliver Nelson was a major star in jazz in the 70s and 80s. He had a master's degree in music. He was a sax player, tenor, alto, flute, composer. I was in Copenhagen and went to see the Radio City Copenhagen Orchestra, and they had an entire evening of Oliver Nelson, and that is when I first became aware of this genius, and I was just overwhelmed by his music. So he made a few albums, not many, wrote quite a few songs, played for background for Hollywood movies, I believe, but then he died at the age of 43 of a heart attack, and we lost him. But his most famous album is called The Blues and the Abstract Truth. And I realized later on, many decades later, what he means by the abstract truth. And we're kind of going to talk about what he meant by the abstract. This is what this lecture is about. So it was a great loss. He, by the way, is a relative of Prince, who is also named Nelson, either a cousin or an uncle or something. Now I'm going to play you a song, if YouTube will allow this. It's called Yearnin'. It's very mellow, but then something awful happens. A soloist who I never liked, still don't like. Now get ready for the irritating part. I said to myself when I first heard this, why does he have this guy playing on that? It's not such a musical piece, such nice harmonies, and then this guy comes along and plays this scratchy, crazy, irritating solo, and I never liked it. I still didn't. I still don't like Eric Dolphy. I tell you. But a few weeks ago, a few months ago, I learned a big secret. Okay, which I'm passing on to you. Okay, now that was grating. It was atonal. It was that solo was crazy. It was not musical at all. I thought it was random. It felt like it was random. He was like he was screaming into his horn. It was schizoid. Dolphy didn't just remove the piano, he removed the entire song. That's how I felt for 30 years. Okay? Now, the epiphany comes recently. I heard the same solo, but someone put it into brought out the implicate order and let us hear what was in Eric Dolphy's mind. Listen carefully. They're playing his solo. Watch carefully. Think about it. Eric Dolphy plays 5 notes, but there were 45 notes he didn't play. And you heard that sax section play the notes that he didn't play. And then you say, oh my God, there's a whole chord behind this craziness. He played 8 notes, which means there were 72 notes he didn't play. And those saxes just played them all. Okay? He had 15 notes in his solo, which is 112 notes that he didn't play. That's the implicate order. Okay? And if you're not aware of the implicate order, you think, that's crazy. That sounds ridiculous. But if you become conscious of the implicate order, you realize, my God, that is genius. That is incredible. That this man had all of that in his head. He had 112 notes in his head when he was playing that song. Okay, so we're getting into this now. You could look at art. You look at a Monet to your left. I think that's to your left. It's pretty. It makes you feel good. It's soothing. And then you go take a look at a Picasso, and you say, oh, that's grating. That's dissociative. It's schizoid. It's nutty. But then you start learning more about Picasso and art and time and space. And what he's doing, he's manipulating perspective. And it seems on the surface to be crazy, but there's a deeper structure. And you can learn that from studying art. I still don't like Eric Dolphy, but I realize it is not random. It is based on a real structure, which I heard with those saxophones playing. It's deeply abstract. Blues and the abstract truth. It's not schizoid at all. It's not random at all. It just means I was too close-minded to appreciate the depth of what he was doing. So I discovered the implicate order, and I'm going to communicate more of that as we proceed. So just as we have to kind of learn to appreciate a Picasso, so we have to learn what Eric Dolphy is doing and admire the genius and the creativity, even though our soul says, I still don't like that. Okay. I like Monet better than Picasso, I have to admit it. All right, now we're going to take this on to the next level, which is Thelonious Monk. Thelonious Monk was a shy man who lived in Harlem, spent most of his time in Harlem, and then he would take a subway to the Village and play at a place called the Five Spot. He was on the cover of Time magazine. He was a major figure in jazz. He died in the 1980s. Wrote a lot of songs. And it's very, unless you're a jazz aficionado, you don't know much about this guy. But jazz people do, and they saw something in his playing. Now, I'm going to show you a piece. He seems to play like a child. Na 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 na, and he doesn't even play like a piano player with moved fingers that are bent. He sometimes is slapping the keys. Okay. By the way, I was a teenager. I went to see Thelonious Monk at the Five Spot in New York, and he came outside. I never talked to him, but he came outside during his break in his set, smoked a joint. In the days when you got arrested for that stuff. Anyway, here's a bit of the Mile of Thelonious Monk. Now, you can see he's not even bending his fingers. Sounds like a child. Now, a jazz person said, wait a minute. There's something in there. There's something in there that's very abstract. And they detect jazz buffs, not the general public. Jazz buffs said, there's a hidden abstraction in there. There's hidden complexity in this simple surface song. Here's his best composition, most famous composition. You're not going to like this, but this is his most famous composition. Around mid. All right, so that's the surface structure, okay? Now, I got permission from these people to be able to show you this. I still wonder if YouTube will let me show it to you. This is the same song. They bring out the implicate order. They bring out and express the abstraction that is implicit in Monk's song. The hidden complexity and beauty is brought to life by them.
It begins to tell round midnight, I do pretty well till after sundown. Supper time, I'm feeling sad, so sad. When some quarry man is bending, does it mean that our love is ending? Darling, I need you, 'cause lately I find your love on my let our love take away some midnight.
The same song that Thelonious Monk played on his piano, but they took the chords, they ad-libbed, they played a solo, and then we went all around it, and you can hear a lot more depth into this song than you ever heard when Monk played way back in the 50s. So I want to thank the New York Voices for letting me play this, and I hope YouTube will allow it too. Now, the final installment of this is Jacob Collier. Now, remember, what we're trying to do is to explore the implicate order, the infrastructure of a song, and what jazz does to that. Jazz is kind of like the process of unearthing, of digging up the infrastructure that you can, some people barely even hear. So Jacob Collier is a new face in town, folks, and he is amazing. He is about a 30-year-old guy. He makes an album, he wins a Grammy. He makes another album, he wins a Grammy. He makes another he won more Grammys than the Beatles in the beginning part of his career. He plays piano, he plays keyboard, bass, guitar, drums, sings. He's basically a composer, and he uses computer graphics. He has a picture of himself singing and another picture singing another voice of the song. Now I'm going to illustrate this and play the entire piece for you. So they call him the Millennial Mozart. And I don't even know if he thinks of himself as a jazz musician. He seems to like pop, but jazz musicians think he's a jazz musician. And he is head and shoulders above Miles Davis, Oscar Peterson, Henry Mancini, Dizzy Gillespie. He is the next big star in jazz, and he exists now. Now I'm going to show you what Jacob Collier does is he takes the implicate order and absolutely explodes it. Okay, watch. He calls it reharmonization. I call it making the implicate order explicit. Who cares what they call it? Here's a song, Moon River. Moon River, da 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 da, Ba da 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 da. Okay, look. Now take a look at these chords. There's one chord, there's a different chord, and there's a third chord. All right, and those chords, that chord repeats, and that chord repeats. So altogether, there are only about 14 original chords in this song. Now, if you're a guitar player or piano player, you say, I only have to learn 14 chords to be able to play that song. Okay? That's the explicit order. Jacob Collier says, wait a second. There is so much tucked inside, encoded, enfolded, hidden in the meta meaning of this. With Jacob Collier, he plays 500 chords. He can take a note like Moon River, he can go da river. He can have 7 chords on one note. So watch carefully as you see Jacob Collier explode the implicate order.
Crossing you in style someday. Oh, dream maker, you heartbreaker.
Don't be such a hard thing.
Wherever you're going, go with you. Drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to very friend.
So that's amazing, isn't it? So he can take one note and infuse six chords. One river. In just one note, he's got as many chords as in the entire song almost. So he takes a simple song and makes a veritable jazz symphony out of it. And what he's doing, he's exploring all of the implications inside that song. So, conclusion, jazz, if we're going to generalize, explores the inner infrastructure of a song. Okay? It makes explicit what is implicit. And not everybody hears that. And some people hear this much, and some people hear this much. Jacob Collier hears this much. Okay? Aristotle said the aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inner significance. And that is exactly what jazz does. So from something, is a summary here, from something irritating and crazy. So from that, which I still don't like, we realize this guy is not just making up craziness. There is a whole substructure under that, and I never knew about that until I heard this. We realize it has an inner structure that is not just irritating, but awe-inspiring. Same solo. Okay, now that was my first insight, and I hope I communicated that to you. But I realized if you follow that inside out, it takes us to a couple other people, and this is Thelonious Monk, and his simple melodies are where jazz people early in the time said, wait a minute, this is not simplistic, this is very abstract. Well, here's the simple melody round about midnight. So after a couple decades, they put words on that song. They slowed it down. They explored its inner meaning, and this is one of the better renditions of the deeper structure of that song.
Let our love take away some midnight.
Let the angels sing for your return.
Let our love be safe and
Safe and sound. When old midnight comes on.
Yes. And from there, we went to Jacob Collier, the newest kid on the block, and we learned, my God, there is so much more to a song that we just cannot believe. Just from a simple melody with 14 original chords, this guy shows us the internal infrastructure that is so mind-boggling. It makes you think that music is an infinite adventure, an infinite odyssey. It has an inner structure of hundreds of chords and key changes that just become a jazz symphony.
my huckleberry friend.
I tried to hazard a summary of this in words. How about this? Jazz is the art of making explicit the implicit, expressing the mystery, the joy, the nuance, the beauty, the complexity, and the infinitude of the implicate order. Well, that's Jerry's little definition. And the fact that we have to recognize this happens most of the time spontaneously. That's what the medium of jazz is. So, anyway, this is my little lecture on jazz. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.